Dzień dobry, witam w trzecim dniu.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the day 3 of infraBIM. We have completed three special sessions. Yesterday's session, BIM Hyde Park, and today we are going to have three plenary sessions with some presentations, and we also have 5 workshops. And the presentations in the special sections will be carried out in Polish with the translation interpreting into English. And after the presentations, we will invite the speakers to these photos, to these chairs, and they will stay with us with Zoom. And at the end of each session, we will have a Q&A session. And as the first one, let me invite Wojciech Stolarski, Geotronics. The presentation is how quickly and accurately can we gather information about objects, facilities. Good morning. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. And let me start my presentation on the day 3 of infraBIM. I wish I had you here face-to-face than online, but due to the circumstances we are in, this meeting is also a great pleasure for me. Let's start the presentation, the meeting, titled How Quickly and Accurately Gather Information About Facilities. And the culture would require me to introduce myself, and my name is Wojtek Stolarski, and I come here from Krakow, and I represent Geotronics Dystrybucja, and we are a company responsible for distribution of measurement solutions and the state-of-the-art software for collection of spatial data. And today I'd like to concentrate on solutions of 2 manufacturers. First of all, Trimble. This is our flagship solution, and Wingtra. That's a manufacturer of vertical start and landing drone. And this is not the full range of the technology we deal with. If you want to meet us more closely, please feel invited to our YouTube channel. This is where you will find a lot of information, interesting information, and videos about the application and usage of the state-of-the-art technology. This is where we have some instructions, some guidelines on how to use the technology and knowledge in a daily work. And please also visit our Facebook and LinkedIn. This is where we tend to present some interesting examples of measurement technologies used by our customers. And I believe you will find a lot of interesting information. And now let's start with the core, and I think I need to start with defining what information is. Of course, it may be difficult. I was checking internet to find the best definition of information, and I landed at brick.pl, and this is the website where you can find some short descriptions of books, but I believe this definition is very accurate of what information is. So information is data like a text, figures, or sound or smells with which you can decrease the level of unawareness of the recipients. So looking comprehensively at this definition, we would have to say that information, this is knowledge. This is a knowledge on a new subject matter, and I believe this is a good definition of what information is. As in any good presentation, we will be also using a quote. And here I have this quote, all has its price, and the information is the most expensive good in the world. So that's Paulo Coelho. And he is a master of good quotes. This is why I decided to use this quote. But let's now move on to the core of the presentation. Let me explain how we can use information in our daily work. And let's consider how important information is, as information gives you a full image of the reality. So gathering information, you get the full knowledge in the scope we want to get, like a building facility. Information will help you better plan our actions As in like a mathematics equation, the fewer number of unknown, the easier it will be to solve the equation. The same is with our actions. The more we have knowledge and the more information we have and the fewer question marks we have, the better we are able to get prepared for each task. And also the information gives you more options to choose from. As having different options available, we can select the best one or the most appropriate one. And information also allows you better for some complications. So we can use some kind of comparison, like a military comparison. The more you, or the better you know the enemy, the better you can prepare for their next movement. Of course, I'm not saying that the construction site is your enemy, but having better knowledge, we can better prepare for any option, any possibility, and for whatever can happen on a daily basis on a construction site. And information will allow you to keep better control. So having a detailed information, a detailed image of the reality, you can clearly see what the construction site looks like. We can compare it with the planet condition, and we can also find some irregularities and what needs to be improved. And the question is how to get information. Firstly, we need to find a compromise between a quality of data quality and data volume. So here we have a chart. On the one hand, we have efficiency. On the other side, we have accuracy. And we need to be clear. If you need to have a very detailed information, you will never be able to be very accurate in the distance of a couple of kilometers. And the other way around, if you want to be very accurate, you need to you need to understand that your accuracy will be lower. But what we can do at this stage, we can apply some technologies, we can apply some options, and we can shorten the distance between the efficiency and accuracy, and we can find a good balance between the two. And also, our choice is a key of success. As looking at the data collection, like spatial information, we also need to be aware that we have available a range of different technologies, and all these technologies have different accuracies, different efficiencies, and you will not be able to expect you will be very accurate in with a mobile device. And also, if we want to have a lot of information, you need to resign from optical, satellite and GPS solutions and more concentrate on mobile solutions. And also, to look at comprehensive solutions, you shouldn't concentrate on the tools themselves. For example, like a sculpture. To be a good sculptor, it is not enough to have a good chisel. You also need to have talent. You need to spend a lot of effort. And I have been dealing with measurements for quite a long time, and so far I have never been in a situation in scanning, in the scanning process. Nobody tells me that my scanning process is beautiful. Of course, it is important for me to achieve the right result. So if I have a good scanner, if I have a good drone, I also need a good software to be able to fully use the tool, and I also need some trainings on how to implement the data and how to limit the time of the technology implementation. So today we are talking about some rudiments, some basics. I'm going to hold at 3 p.m. and feel invited to the workshops. And in the workshops, I will be talking about some very important aspects. I think I will be speaking about some technologies. I will be talking about Trimble X7 laser scanning technology. So this is the first tool for gathering of spatial data. And I believe this is the first scanner where a manufacturer concentrated on providing a full system, facilitating work, not to chase on what the range or what the speed is. And this gives you the ability to collect the full data in field, and the data can be also used in other software. We will be also talking about Trimble eWork software. This is a very efficient, universal tool for working with DOTS clouds. And on the one hand, you will be able to complete your tasks fully. So you will limit the time for implementation of the technology, and you will also learn how to complete the tasks. We will be also talking about the modeling, 3D modeling process, and we will be talking about the drones. And as an example, I will be talking about the revolutionary Vintra 1 VTOL, which allows you to use the efficiency of this drone. And so this gives you fantastic data on a large space in field. And finally, I will be talking about the extended reality. That's a Trimble site vision software, and these models and measurements can be visualized in field, and we will be also able to make some simple measurements with these models. So I believe that's all about my first short presentation. Feel invited once again to participate in the workshop. They will start at 3. That's just to give you an idea on what we are going to talk about. And at 3, we will have more time to deal with all these technologies I have been talking about more in detail. Thank you for listening. And Marek, please continue with the presentations. Welcome once again. Thank you, Wojtek, for your presentation. And the next speaker is going to be Arkadiusz Leśko and Marek Majewski. That's going to be the next presentation, Arkan Systems, the construction industry in the 4.0 industry era, digital construction site. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Marek Majewski. My name is Arkadiusz Leśko, and we represent Arkan Systems. We'd like to introduce our company to you. We would like to discuss some important aspects of investment process from the infrastructure point of view. Let's start with a brief introduction. Arkan Systems, it's a part of a larger group, of the Arkans group, and within the group, together with our affiliates, we provide services for the Mulier group, and this is the company supplying equipment for the construction site activities. And Arkans Group started only recently versus to Monoyer, and our goal is to provide processes and tools to digitize equipment on the construction site. A couple of words about Bergerac Monoyer. So this is the company concentrated on the aspects of supplying of hard equipment to the construction sites. We have a very extensive experience. We are present in majority of European countries, and we also provide services throughout Poland. And another module we add to our continuum is Sitec. That's a company supplying digitizing products, and these are control systems or some equipment or tools which will allow you to withdraw or to put these models into construction sites. And Arkan System, it is more than 360 experts, and we are a large group, and we are a European leader of implementation of solutions based on Autodesk and Trimble software. It is not only software, but also the equipment Arek was talking about. We have more than 50,000 users, and most importantly, we serve all important participants of the investment process, from the designing offices to designers and general contractors. Finally, our company, Arkan System, is present in 10 European countries. We are very dynamically developing, and of course, we are also in Poland. And let me also mention the context of infrastructure investments. What Mr. Żuchowski was talking about, the investment process takes up to 9-10 years. That's the best case scenario, the most optimal scenario. And now the majority of tools and equipment concentrate on this section, which is presented in the, on the screen. So this is where the most technologies are used. And the question is, what is happening with the rest, as we have a lot of other players here? So how can we carry out the tenders, or how to look for concepts in more optimal ways? So the key question is how to digitize not only the designing process or the construction process, but how to digitize the full investment process, and how to serve all these modules. And these modules involve they involve the entire continuum. So this is the role of Arcan's system and the entire Arcan's group, to digitize the investment process as a whole, from the first channel studies to concept designing, to offering and bidding, to designing and implementation, contracting, and to construction site management. So Arcan's continuum, with all these tools and our knowledge available, we are able fully, from the beginning to the end, to serve your investments and to provide a good solution, tailor-made for our customers. And so, to be more precise, let me discuss all these elements. Let me start with, as the first stages, the majority of solutions. So this is like looking for alternatives. So we have an idea, and if we need to communicate to environments, so how to carry out the investments. And one of the solutions we offer, so this is Quantum, which automatically, it is not manual, it is automatically looks for alternatives. So you can shorten the stage of looking for solutions, and most importantly, it is more objective, based on clear parameters, not some kind of beliefs or other ratios which are not fully clear. And next stage, this is concept designing, conceptual designing, and important here is to find solutions which will give you access to a couple of different alternatives for the concept to be able to be changed quickly, like Autodesk InfraWorks. This is where you can very quickly run some concepts and also calculate some measurements, some coarse measurements, and in the one environment you will have a full spatial context like roads, bridges, and networks or grids. And not only Autodesk solutions, and we are partner of many different suppliers. As a consulting company, we also, on this stage, try to find the best contractor. And this is where we also have a couple of solutions available, and they will allow us to optimize the process from the perspective of measuring and supplying information directly to the construction site. And next stages, so that's designing. And in designing, my impression is that the video, which will be played, I believe, is going to be self-explanatory.
25, the design and construction processes were carried out simultaneously. Digitalization of the construction site was a clear requirement from the owner and contractor. At the Trimble Digital Construction Summit, Katrin Johannesdottir, VDC and BIM manager at Skanska Norway, will share her experiences on how to get all people on board in digitalization and the benefits of a shared, transparent BIM environment.
We decided really early to have like all the discipline in the model, that all discipline would actually do their design in 3D, and we would collect all this in one multidisciplinary model that everyone would have access to. Everything we do is actually done from the 3D model. We use the 3D model to make all decisions, to plan the project, to estimate the quantities, the cost, Constructability is really important. I would say that working single source of truth, that we have one platform, that is really, really important. The 3D model is in the machine, it is up to date, and the data flow goes continuously, so there's no downtime during the production. The machine always has the right data at the right time. But understanding where the other discipline come from and what they need is often difficult. When you collect everything in one model, you can see how things matches together. Everyone wants to do a good job. We have a lot of people that really, they love production, they love their work, they do really good work. But it's important that everyone understand exactly what we're going to do, when we're going to do it, how we're going to do it.
And so having all these standards, also from Scandinavia, basing not only on those standards which are the most common with us, I mean basing on the British standards, but we also promote those standards in other European markets, also in Poland, and we implement those, and we try to promote them among the investment process players. And talking about the continuum, we also talk about the construction process, and CAT is one of our partners in this regard, and another example from our domestic market. So again, the video is going to say more than 1,000 words. For those of you who don't know what investment it is, my colleague is going to discuss. So this is Iron Bridge, and this is one of the largest construction sites with the most experienced solutions, machinery, where our equipment was supplied. And also from the technical office point of view, that was a huge effort of our colleagues from Budimex to correctly carry out this investment, and definitely we need to offer them a big round of applause for this. So this is a Budimex construction site, and this is one of the extending stages of the reservoir. And we supplied 52 new units here, and in the top moment we had 121 units and 6 million cubic meters with rollers, trucks, and other auxiliary equipment that was possible. As you can see, Polish engineers are also leaders in some investment processes. It is not only that we import things, but we also provide information, knowledge to our international partners for projects like this one. But usually there comes a question, why? What can I get if I use some solutions? And in this regard, providing all these components clearly for the construction stage, we also try to measure what we can achieve for our customer. It is not only the marketing aspect, but we try things to be very measurable. And again, video is going to tell you more. That's an example of a smaller contract. And if you think that an investment is too small to apply modern technologies, together with our SciTech colleagues, we tested in a quite small section how modern technologies can be applied in this investment. So not only for the huge investments, but it is also good for medium-sized or smaller ones. So first, you have a first excavator digging the trench, and it is followed by another one which only is licking the trench to achieve the final surface. And here one is equipped with the controlling system, the other one not. And we have been using this system for a couple of days here, and customers' equipment, customers' operators clearly tested the efficiency of the solution. And we have some figures. We are talking about 30 up to 40% of increasing efficiency. So 30% more we were able to complete with the application of the modern solutions. And the problem is that an operator has the image of the model displayed, so they do not need any assistance if the work is carried out correctly. So they can work continuously, and it is not a breaking system where you need to communicate with other people to get information. And I think one of the last elements of the continuum, that these are the solutions which allow us to maintain the investment. One of the example, there's Länsimäe in Finland. The first stage of the investment has been completed, and so for this investor, we have developed the solution for maintenance of the investment, and this is now in use, and they are happy so much that in the next stage they are going to use our solution, and they are now saturating their databases with more information to be able to maintain the investment using also these solutions. And now let's move on to OpenBIM. OpenBIM, GEC standard in Poland, also very popular to also support GEC standard. And in Arkansas, we also have a parallel concept based not on one universal data standard, but it is based on the usage of native data from many different manufacturers. As you can see on the diagram, we are able to use our systems to directly communicate with different systems, different softwares, which can be used to build one single model with the native data in use. And what is important, we also achieve an equal curve, and so information is not provided with the closed information, but we communicate with the native way, and with that we are able to get more fluent information flow, and we are able more efficiently use the data. And all the practitioners know how the cooperation with data suppliers look like. Of course, the data is necessary, but at some stage, if you want to efficiently use the data, you need to be based on native software, which would be able to edit individual element and use the information on the next stages. So this is what we can achieve with this software, and we can avoid losing of information. And finally, summarizing, obviously, infraBIM is very long, and on the day one we were talking about how to digitize the process, investment process on site. Yesterday, we were talking about the creating of future, and we were talking about how practical application of intelligent smart equipment is. It is not only steel and the engine, but this is also supervision of the fleet. And today, let me invite you for 4 p.m. We will be presenting one of the concepts of the cloud solutions. And finally, we will have a case study from the local market, how to implement open standards with different solutions together with Strabag colleagues. Thank you very much. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Arkadiusz Leszko and Marek Majewski from Arkan Systems. Take your seats, gentlemen, because at the end of the session we will have a Q&A session and answering questions from the chat. Let me remind everybody asking questions whom they are addressing. That will facilitate our work. And now, Mr. Jarosław Szczepanek from Fluor Company, focused on the data. Jarek, I was listening to your workshop on day one, and I must tell you that after good development of the topic of big data, BIM data, I would make a PhD thesis out of it. Well, maybe one day. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great joy to greet you from Gliwice. I represent a company named Fluor Global Corporation. We are active in very platforms of broadly understood engineering for over 108 years. Globally, the corporation is active on 6 continents. We are dealing with a great number of projects. First of all, engineering, procurement, construction, maintenance. We tend to influence various solutions. As office in Gliwice, we are already 75 years old. We started our operations in 1945. In 1955, Prosenheim was established, and since 1995, we are there as Fluor, and main segments are advanced technologies, life sciences, chemical industry, petrochemical industry, refining, also mines and various kinds of metals. Currently, the office employs over 400 employees. 300 are engineering staff. And here are a few examples of projects in BIM format and other digital formats. The one on the left is already successfully completed fully. The next 2 are projects in progress. The one in Canada is, first of all, a vast project, being a large component prefabrication of elements in yards, and then they are transported. It requires very big and accurate digitalization of the process. The whole digital transformation has been in Fluor for many years. Intentionally, I browsed our possible documents when we started. Roughly 1960s was the beginning when our own first elaborations were made, based on which you already can generate something. Whereas the greatest leap following the development of computers, new software shows up, and we start using Calma, then PDS, Smart 3D, or now what is generally named BIM environment. And before 2010, it existed, but not necessarily under this name. If we talk of digital transformation, so actually we have to realize that it is a period of speeding up when very intensely innovations appear, but also slow down because every implementation is in a way resistance of matter. So if very joyfully say we are already digitalized in the leader in Europe, one must ask a question whether we know about certain solutions, if we really did implement them. Please look, communication and networking, 2 terms in place for many years, but wasn't it COVID actually implementing them? In reality, schools were not using them. All of a sudden, they needed to notice that very efficiently they work using the latest technology, that shared work in the city. And these are the ways, the things we are waiting for. And Internet of Things is also something what allows us, without entering the places where technology is being built, to automate, to process data, or the whole 4.0 industry. well, one of the first elaborations introducing the topic of BIM, but also when we look at it, it is so far-reaching that after 50 years, this was in 1974 when this diagram was published. Is it much different from the situation today? Well, actually, in the paper where Charles Eastman was in discussion, well, it appeared what a problem is it. We can build it further on. We have some shape, then a mathematical description of the figure, detailed example, and then where they are placed in space, and then transformations. And we only add further information to it. Of course, there is also the asset zone where we actually do not need shape at all, and possibly then it is in the catalog and we do not define it. Next, from the large mile steps, it's Triforma, which in 1990s and even a bit earlier already allowed to generate many things in a completely different way. Please look. Please notice that already based on this model, it was possible to generate documentation and material lists and specifications. If we then jump over to Revit, yes, its structure, using this description available in the documentation, is different. But please note that what was multi-sectoral in the past, now it is included in one big program. So the possibilities to obtain intersectoral information is very big now. And when we move to systems like PDS, which are strictly database systems, CAD or broadly understood BIM, in 1994, Plan Design System, which was introduced connected on databases, allowed to generate many operations, staying only within database environment. And if we now see that a program for construction was added, which was based on text files, why on text files, which all in themselves, 13 files creating this database, because this worked faster than database, then only development of further computers allows speeding it up. And 2001 is product strictly database based. So we have database describing the diagram and model and elements which can be included in database. Out of this we obtain reports and lists of some drawings or others. Additionally, it allows you to act on various continents in various locations. So we have a host, that means location where the main database is, plus places, satellites, satellite places acting parallelly. Exchange of data between databases is so fast that all sites work at the same time, which allows you to generate various kinds of documentation. This is 2005. And how can we manage that? The basis for development is definitely well-grounded knowledge, promoting it and promoting innovations. And for this purpose in Fluor, we have special matter experts, specialists in specific types of knowledge, disciplines. There are also so-called fellows. That means it corresponds to academic titles. In corporations, we call them fellows, senior fellows. Additionally, we publish bulletins where we summarize innovative solutions. We also apply methodology or metrics 10 times. If some innovation was applied 10 times, that means it is an innovation worthwhile. As an example, I wanted to show you some solutions. For example, RFID sensors, a very large site where there is no possibility to supervise everything. Thanks to these sensors, the gates, and all kinds of drones showing this, we can in real time locate where the given element of structure is and how it is moving about and what is a possible delay in delivery. It saves dollars, but also keeps in control time and sticking in time schedule. Then virtual reality. It can be used in various ways. It's integrated when all branches are using it in the process of creating the system and for training of safety, but also in maintenance of the unit. But yet another thing which really makes me admire it, downloading in real time data from database of the project. So here we have big data in Strickland. No, we don't need artificial intelligence for this, but business tools which visualize it. But we can watch in real time a comparison of what had been planned, what is currently now, and which direction we are going in. I think it is the future. We cannot further on be based on analysis made a month ago, 2 months ago. If we want to speed up and really come out of this old chart of construction, which has not been changing for years, we must move to that solution. So thank you very much for your kind attention, and it was a great pleasure to give this brief presentation on Fluor. Thank you, Jarek. I keep up my proposal because these topics are very interesting, lots of innovations. Take your seat on the stage so that later on we can be answering the questions from the chat. Now, the next presentation will be a presentation from Bentley Systems. Daria Kosmala and Kamil Łażeński, Advancing Infrastructure. The question is, can we still make our infrastructure more advanced? Welcome, the floor is yours. Represent Bentley Systems Company. The second part of presentation will be presented by Daria Kosmala from Virtuosity, also Bentley Systems Company. Motto of our company is development of infrastructure, which we achieve fulfilling our mission. That means we provide innovation of software for enterprises and professionals who build and operate world infrastructure. Bentley Company is a family company established by 5 Bentley brothers, currently represented by over 3,200 employees worldwide, in Poland by Krakow office and Warsaw office. Bentley is offering solutions, design solutions and analytical ones for all kinds of engineering or infrastructure, starting from traditional structure through roads and railways down to more complex ones like offshore rigs or nuclear power plants. For some time, Bentley is modernizing its software, setting forth open solutions. What does it mean? It means we are open for many different sectors. We are open to analysis and simulations. That means what we are creating in our software, and we are using only for preparing beautiful visualizations, 3D ones, but also a model of station or a building can be used for analysis of behavior and simulation of traffic of pedestrians or passengers. And due to application of microstation platform for all open applications, we support cooperation in various digital processes for individual sectors. Open multi-sectoral models are and they are simply connected with simple references. Here on the example of Sheikh Rashid Tube Metro Road project, we can see the design of a 3-level junction, including a tunnel, viaduct, railway viaduct, and road estacade, but also something what we cannot see with blank eye. That means the drainage network or various types of geotechnical security elements. In cooperation with Bentley, the designer was able to introduce new processes into their existing design process and to facilitate cooperation. What's more, such a model, well, for example, this model of drainage network will at later stage be used for 570, that means asset management. Bentley Company, in order to merge all these applications for modeling, elaborated and configured project runs. That means our CD environment in accordance with ISO 19650, but also in national standards like PS 1192. Among users of Project Rise, we have a large group of exceptional design or consulting companies, but also infrastructure managing companies from worldwide, like Crossrate, Baltica, High Speed. Project-wise helped those cities to implement over 1 million projects in over 100 countries. Based on information we are gaining as feedback, users of Project-wise are helped by it in reducing project costs on the average by 25%, or reduce project errors even by 90%. As Bentley, we were also active in first day of infraBIM at the session on designing roads, and from the perspective of general contractor, which I moderated together with Michał Lata, I focused on special type of cooperation at the stage of revision of model based on OpenRocks designer and designer review, and Michał in turn presented how to correctly prepare a model beam in Open Roads Designer so that it can be correctly exported to GFC, but also to systems controlling machines. I already now encourage you strongly to watch this workshop on demand, and let me hand over the floor to Daria. Thank you very much. Well, please also be invited to the workshop on Thursday at 13:45, Digital Twins in Design and Construction, based on our inner project. And we applied content structure, open buildings, IT designer view, and Sanction 4D. At the workshop, we will focus on two objectives for which we create digital twin: coordination of the project and simulation of the structure of the project. Let's start from recovery of the existing state. To get the context, we will go through building BIM model, which will be considered as digital twin for coordination of the project and intersectoral cooperation. So as to build the unit, we'll add another dimension, time, and we will take into account other assets necessary for its construction: equipment, people, and costs. In order to, in connection with 3D model, to build a digital twin for planning and coordination of the construction. We want to make you more familiar with the workflow with the use of connected data environment and our own observations we made in the process of this inner project. The workshop will be run by the team: Sławek Hałat, reality modeling; Dorota Lechowicz, BIM modeling; Kamil Gasiński, coordination of the project; and Daria Kosmala, that's myself, planning of the construction. We are all part of Virtuosity, e-commerce platform belonging to Bentley Systems. Through the page virtuosity.com, you can buy annual subscription of Bentley programming, which are allocated to individual participant. The allocation can be changed once in every 30 days, and subscriptions are not related to any additional contracts. They cover construction for building installations, geotechnology, survey, planning, and managing construction. Virtuosity is specific about the fact that together with the software, you are getting so-called keys, which can be exchanged for personalized training, consulting, trainings online, mentoring. We won't support our users to have access not only to the license, but also to be easily able to improve their skills and get support on the project or get answers to technical questions. I would at the same time like to mention yet one more important event for us, which will take place this month, namely the Year in Infrastructure conference. This year it was supposed to be held in Vancouver, but just like infraBIM, it happened to be a web event. And at this conference, our users are presenting their projects with application of Bentley solutions. As the name suggests, these are mainly infrastructural projects. Why it is worthwhile watching this conference? First of all, because it gives you an exceptional possibility to get to know largest and most interesting projects worldwide from the perspective of the participants. In earlier editions, these were projects like new viaduct, Polchavera, in place of the one which collapsed tragically, tunnel, new sewage a new collector under Thames River, high-speed rail winner in transit, Wenzabel Trier in Dubai, or Chase Center in San Francisco, winner in for the construction category last year. Well, we encourage you to get registered. You can get to there directly through www.bentley.com. And thank you on behalf of myself and of Kamil for your kind attention. And I would like to thank organizers for invitation. I wish you a successful event, even if it is in front of the computer. You can always make it a bit more attractive. And please join our workshop on Thursday at 13:35 hours. Thank you very much, Daria Kosmala and Kamil Łaziński, Bentley System. Daria and Kamil, thank you very much. And also very warm invitation to in the infrastructure event. The last presentation today will be by Dariusz Korczowski from Sweco company, Zator Ring Road, the pilot project by GDK in context of experience with Scandinavian BIM market. We all keenly watch progress in this BIM project, so let's listen at what stage they are now. Warm welcome. My name is Mariusz Gorszowski. Welcome in Sweco, and during the nearest few minutes I will tell you about pilot project of GDDK in context of experience from the Scandinavian BIM market. The presentation was broken down into two parts. In the first one, we will present our approach to managing Zator project. In the second part, we will talk about tools used for designing, information exchange, coordination, and quality control. The project is based on BIM models created by individual sectors following the rules set forth earlier. Then a coordination model is made based on sectoral files. Reports from coordination models are used for base for further work, and at the same time flat documentation and accompanying one are generated from the models. All is included in uniform CDE environment on which both designers, Sweco, and the ordering ones are working, with the possibility to extend their amount by other users of the construction process. Communication based on the models is going through own smart software cooperating with Jira. In Zator project, project-wise software was used, which we were using, among others, to design the underground in Stockholm, providing a high standard of work and good progress. Main documents controlling the work is groups of users in connection with catalogs, and each gets different authorization, which guarantees data security. We are certain nobody can interfere with the data. A uniform structure catalogs was formed, and correctness of files is controlled by files, making it impossible to give different names than those foreseen in DEP. It allows differentiation of files and storage of former versions. All versions are under the same name of file, but with earlier numbers of version. All files are included in workflow file, which is based on status, providing correct data flow and transparency of work. Additional element of managing documentation is automation. Thanks to scripts created, we can check the state of documentation, its status, and making notifications, personalized notifications to the user. All these moves are aimed at improving cooperation among users of the project. Due to early stage of Zator project, I presented philosophy of the project based on the example of our different project, which is one of broad experiences used in Zator project. 14 distance is a light railway in Bergen. To do all the documentation, broad range of BIM software was used. In the road and railway part, civil 3D software and Nova Point were used. Creating 3D construction and hydrotechnical models is made with the use of Revit program, supported with tools for parametric designing, being Dynamo. This technology and approach to work allowed quick detection of collisions between sectors and making the construction documentation of high quality. Coordination of some large project without these would be difficult and time consuming. Apart from the 3D model, supported flow of communication between the ordering party and contractor. Appropriate parameterization of a project helped in making a report, material lists, and other necessary data, which were necessary during all stages of the investment project. Therefore, for each sectoral model, appropriate parameters were selected, out of which every participant to the project could read needed information. For verification of correctness of all parameters from FC model, Solibri model checker software was used. Documentation of reinforcement is made as a 3D model. For elements of similar shape, we use earlier made scripts. Thanks to this, we optimize time allowed for creating geometry of the reinforcement. Flat documentation is always generated from the model. Thanks to this, we can reduce number of errors and pick problems possible during laying the reinforcement at site. Parameters set in BIM documents can be found using Solibri. It's enough to check the tab and read parameters of the given unit. We select the model, geometrical model or reinforcement of interest for us, and we go to takeoff tab, where we can check parameters and list of revisions. And taking the template of geometry, we can analyze correctness of records, and it looks the same at analysis of reinforcement. Additionally, taking the template of revision, we get a list of elements of the object. Everyone is highlighted with different contexts. Clicking on the list, we can select a few elements and individual elements and analysis. This tool allowed us quick verification and checking correctness of all parameters included in BIM and efficient verification of the geometry. smart tools created by Sweco in Norway in response to the needs by customers for BIM projects without drawings. This tool was used many a time at infrastructural projects, and among others in design for SVV. It is Norwegian. It combines the browser and Jira, which allow monitoring processes. You can use Smart through the web browser or addition to Navis Works. Using this solution, it is not necessary to use any other communication tool. You can communicate here any member of the project and write lists of tasks and mark problem to be solved. After creating issue, we allocate it to a specific person, additionally describing the problem. Software will automatically notify the responsible person and send it directed to the place where the problem appeared. Every issue is visible in blown off form. You can see all the issues in a transparent Kanban board or table. This is all what we wanted to share with you today. On behalf of Sweco Management Board and all employees, I thank you for your kind attention. I believe that this brief presentation will encourage you to explore modern technologies used in construction sector.
Dziękuję bardzo za tę prezentację na temat.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the presentation about Zator Ring Road. And now we are going to have a discussion session. We also have some questions on the chat. We have quite many of them. And so let me, those of you gentlemen who have delivered your presentations, you know these gentlemen, but we are also going to have Daria online, Daria Kosmala from Bentley, and Marcin Woch from Sweco. I'm not sure who is the next person, the person next to you. Paweł Jagielczuk. He is the Zator project manager. So let me ask the questions in the order as the presentations were delivered. So the first question goes to Mr. Wojciech Stolarski from Geotronics. Can you combine data from drones and GPS scanners? Of course you can do it. This is very natural that these technologies shouldn't be applied here separately. They should be integrated. So having Trimble Business Center software, you can easily input data from drones, scanners, classical measurement systems, and you can integrate those and use the data as in a single project. And the next question goes from Marcin. What is the range of data you can achieve applying individual measurement techniques? Of course, I could be able to talk about this for a very long time. So very briefly, for laser scanning, stationary laser scanning, this is accuracy of up to 1 millimeter. If we speak about drones, that depends on many factors, like the pixel size, the terrain pixel size, and accuracy of satellite receivers, number of points. But accuracy is up to centimeter, from 1 to 10 centimeters, depending on the circumstances, and generally or other mobile technologies, so that's a level of 5-10 centimeters, and stationary centimeters and more like individual centimeters or millimeters. And the last questions to Wojtek: is it possible easily to integrate data from instruments and the designing data? Of course, that's all about the software. And again, Trimble Business Center, this is an office combine, and you can put your data from the measurements from your measurement tools and integrate this with the models in IFC format or other models like triangle models, and you can carry out some analysis. So if we do some measurements with a scanner, so some data can be imported, and we can also import dot cloud. And we can analyze how elements work, or we can compare data from different time frames, or how they were burdened. And 5 questions now to Arkans from Marcin Pszczółka. The first one, Arkadiusz, that's So thank you for being accurate. What is the key to the success in infrastructure project? Is it software or teams, people? And do you have examples of where you use the entire package of Arcan's Continue? So alluding to Wojtek's question, there is one software which will allow us to import data directly from scanners or from other measurement equipment directly to Revit or Tekla. That's called Laxus. And answering the for Arcan's Continue, there are some companies implementing this. And let me invite you to a meeting at 5 p.m. We'll be telling more about Strabag, POR, and Cola. So these are the leading companies in Europe, in continental Europe, using these solutions. And of course, Scandinavia, these solutions are more common and more frequently connected. And as for the infrastructure projects, Marek, you would be able to yes, people are the most important. Software, so that's only a tool. And from our long-lasting experience, we know that people can either destroy or elevate to their heights every project. So if you offer a software to people who are not happy to use it, they will do their best to prove that the tools are bad. And of course, if you offer good tools to good people, they can create miracles. And we have evidence that this is possible. So definitely people. So in BIM Hyde Park, we were talking yesterday about the competences. Yes, competency, willingness to work, and willingness to develop. And the second question, what native format do you support? Let me also invite you again for 5 p.m. and there are quite many formats available, and native formats, the most common is Bentley, Open Roads, Nova Points, Tekla, Revit, Civil, 3BC. There are a dozen or so open source formats. Yeah, I think it will be like 30 formats available. And the next question from MS. So that's not me, as the initials are the same as mine. Arek, what do you mean by saying that software can automatically adjust the channels for routes? I mean, like the channel selection, and what data is analyzed to find the optimum options and how the data is updated. So let me recommend you our YouTube channel and our website. So this is where we describe the solutions. We analyze the digital terrain model. This data is available, and we also analyze this based on, we analyze the space which can be downloaded where we have some urbanized areas, where we have forests. So costs are first assigned. So this is one of the most important parameters. So the costs are the most important, and for an investment, and so we know how much we are going to pay to cross a river or a city, and also geometric parameters to meet the primary requirements for investment. And lastly, also the environmental elements like the emissiveness, which is important in Australia or Scandinavian market. Frequently, it is a tool used, and the largest consulting companies providing services to the Scandinavian market, this is the primary tool for them, and this is they always use it. So please contact us. Feel free to contact us, as this solution is well established. I'm talking about Trimble Quantum. And the fourth question: how controlled machines can handle with more complex geometries like cones of bridges. Of course, the technology is being developed continuously, and as for now, concentrating only on this aspect, we need to have the right machine, or the digger or excavator, and the control systems are able to handle this filter. So an operator full automatically only pulls the lever, and we are working on adding 3D collision, so it is an underbridge, so we will be able to profile the cones, and this is not available now, but we are testing this. This beta version is available, and the operator is not going to hit a bridge, and at some point in time, if you approach, first you will be alerted, and then the system will be automatically switched off. And the last question to Jarek, but not obligatorily, how practically is the coordination and cooperation using the native formats from different types of software, and on which stage did you give up using IFC, and what was the main trigger for this? It is not the case that we have abandoned using IFC. It is really necessary. This is the matter of goals for which we want to use these formats. We don't want to avoid this format, and we support it. I'm not sure if I mentioned it. So we are not orthodox in this. And very important is that if we are between the designing and the execution stage, and if we also want to have the as-built model, so we need to have the data available to be able to edit the data. And this is where the problem comes. And supporting of native different solutions, we are able to achieve better results and sooner, so we do not have to lose time for recreating of some elements like using access. So in the construction site, we have some experiences like some starting works where somebody else was overtaking, and you put this into Revit or Tekla, and the data is automatically comparative to check if it is in the right place. So the experiences are quite extensive. Please contact us to learn more. So these are more about Archons. So let me partially answer this question, but I also have a question to you from Arkadiusz. How much time does it take to train a design project team? Please provide us concise answers as time is running. So let me combine this with the last question. Much depends on the software. So if we have clearly integrated a project in our structure, so it is easy. You can do integrated software and you can use it. But what is more and more common available, this is integrated project security. So it requires open approach. There are many entities which originally in BIM execution plan, they need to be involved, how the data integration is going to look like. Are they going to be native formats? They might be IFC. This is also indispensable to identify. Sometimes there are some very difficult conversions, but this data is needed in the digital form. And the most important is if you finish things as a hard copy, using hard copy, how can this be used in SPICs? So SPICs needs to be based on something more tangible. As for the training is based on, so if you start the project, so you need it you should be able to learn new solutions, and the environment and software is not much different to those dispersed software. But the biggest problem is the time of how to achieve full engineering awareness, and people having the good vision of what they want to do are the best, as they can use any tool. And the two questions go to you, Daria and Kamil. The first from TempS. Is it possible to configure a project image? The question, yes, it is about the project-wise view. Is the information displayed that the calendar was adjusted? Yes, so this is a very technical question. Kamil couldn't join us. Yes, he unfortunately is suffering from COVID, so please contact directly, use LinkedIn with this question directly, and I will be able to answer the question. Yes, definitely. So these two questions are combined. So when we copy your questions, please check them, as it is difficult for me to interpret them. And now a series of questions to Marcin Woch from Sweco. The first question from Paweł: which software do you use for road and sanitary modeling, like rainwater sewer system? Very briefly, please. I think we use Civil 3D. My understanding, do you mean the Zator project? As I know, that's Civil 3D and Revit. How significant standardization did you implement, except for this required by the buyer, like the file names? What I can say is I think Mariusz would be the best to answer this question, as he was delivering the presentation, but he couldn't be with us today. Possibly you can also send an email or use a LinkedIn. I am more responsible for software and support, parameter support. Did you standardize the file names like DWG? I think Rafa will add on that, but I believe the full structure is prepared as a template which can be uploaded to each software, piece of software, and each layers and names of tools were consulted with the buyer, and they are based on all those reconciliations, and as much as possible, and with the development of individual models and the project progress, our assumption was that we will be updating it, but the assumptions are enough. Michał Ratała is asking, what does the cooperation with the buyer look like in terms of BIM? Are the BIM requirements adjusted on a regular basis, taking into account the fact that this is a pilot project? Yes, we have been cooperating very closely with the buyer, and all the remarks and suggestions are we try to implement them, but if we have any problems, the buyer significantly is supporting us, and we always are able to compromise, to find a compromise or find a common solution. What is the systematics of works was used to describe the elements of works? I do not understand what you mean. What is systematics? Please email the question. The question from Tomek Rajport. 4 questions. I'm not sure if we managed to ask all of them. On which stage of implementation the Zator ring road is now? Due to the situation, due to the COVID, we are a little bit delayed due to the fact that it was unable for us to complete the basis of the road project, the traffic analysis, and the situation is unusual, as in the area of Zator we have this amusement park, Energylandia, and we're generating quite a lot of traffic, and so we were in, as Energylandia did not work at that time, and our study was not very reliable, so we are delayed for this reason. And Marcin Pszczółka is asking, is the project being implemented by the Polish experts, and how many people are involved in the project? The project is carried out fully by our company and for subcontractors. These are Polish experts. And it is difficult to answer the second part of the question. What exemplary non-geometrical information is included in the component of road model, like bituminous, the MMA? Our assumption is that in all the models, in the model parameters, there are some references to specifications, and in the specifications there are defined or described the things you are asking. And the next question is about the specifications. Are the BIM models related with the specifications? A BIM model is linked with the specifications in these terms. There are some references, and the BIM models, there are references to the specifications of individual elements. How do you handle with exporting of terrain to IFC, which is based on the dense network of triangles? Our model is generated like a network of triangles with quite large area, and generally we do not have problems with export. Pavel is asking, are measurements going to be generated in Naviworks or civil 3D open roads? If it is about bridges, we use Revit for measurements, as it has good tools to create sets of data. So the measurements are automatically generated. I'm not sure what is the case with CVR. We believe that the measurements are generated from the native software. And geology, did you build the model of geological layers and did you use it for calculations? We use archive geology data with some additional data which was included in the concept, and we were trying to generate the model, but due to the fact that the number of measurement points was insignificant. There are only 5 facilities, but they are distributed large enough that the generating of model for the entire route didn't make sense. Due to some deformations, but locally we were doing those analyses within a model. So some questions are very long, so I'm unable to ask all the questions. So the last question: do you assume automatization of? Do you believe that so you can use automatical submissions? Yes, so we have some plans to partially automate this process, but we are unable to automate the entire process. Only on the small section can be automated. Thank you very much. We need to finish online event. Time frame is very important. That's like in television. So now let me invite you to a break, and let's meet again here at 10:30 for the second plenary session. Thank you.